You want me to open it up, Bill?
Sure, and I think Sharon has the agenda to share. Let me go back to. All right. Sharon, if you want to pull the agenda up.
Okay, great. So you should have received a copy of the agenda in the email that was sent out. If not, we'll have a copy up for reference. But thanks to everyone who's on this morning. Sorry for the situation in general. So we're going to focus primarily today and initially on public health. And we have Dr. Carter, the Prince George's County Health Officer, with us today. And we're going to turn it over to Dr. Carter in a minute to review what the current executive orders are in relationship to restaurants and bars, and then also the Board of License Commissioners, as I'm sure all of you know, has suspended the entertainment permits countywide. And so that's another issue that we can discuss. So I don't take too much time. I'd like to introduce Dr. Carter, who is Prince George's County Health Officer and has some broad powers for implementing the executive orders from both the county executive and the governor's executive order. So Dr. Carter, would you please take over?
Yes, thank you very much and good morning. Just so you know, and I'm going to be very high level. When you want to get into the weeds of some of the specifics, I think we have Ronnie Gill on the phone and Major may also be on the phone to be sure that we get, and I believe Evelyn is on the phone. But either way, I just want to be sure that we are level set so you all understand. Number one, and first and foremost, as the health officer, you all have to understand my first mission and the first thing in our mission is to protect the public health. And so, my job is to do that and make sure that that occurs. At the same time, we as a county understand we have to balance that. We have to balance the protection first and foremost with, the fact that we have to be sure we can keep our county still moving forward. Having said that, right now, we have to, in order to protect the public health, we have to be sure that we stay within the bounds of what this virus is telling us. And so, if the virus community spread is low, then what we say and what we do is different than when the virus is out of control. Now, as you all well know, back in when this virus first started, it was out of control. Community spread was out of control. Our new cases per day were ramping up beyond our capacity. We've been able to slow that down and get that reasonably under control, but not under the type of control that we could be comfortable with. Right now, the virus is still what they call at risk for going into another real significant outbreak. We're sort of teetering on the edge of that. Right now, our infection rate is greater than 1. So that means that we have positive community spread and it's significant. Number 2, our daily case rate is way too high. It should be less than 10 per 100,000 per day. We're at 18.7 per day. So that means that it's spreading at a nice little clip, not out of control, but it's spreading. So those are the two things you have to be concerned about. Secondly, what they call our positivity rate, has not dropped below 5%. And we know with the amount of testing we're doing now, it should be. So we're sitting right there where if we let it, one more thing can happen and we can get out of control. We don't want that. So the reasons we put in the controls we have put in is so that we can keep this under control. Now, when we opened, when we went to that phase, the phase 1, modified phase 2, and all those things, modified phase 1, then the phase 2, we realized that if we see this spread get out of control, we have to roll back. And so what we did initially, especially with restaurants, bars, and indoor dining, they represent a significant spread factor. And that's true across all the country. Everybody is looking at that as being something that we may have to roll back. So it's going to be imperative that you all make sure that people do not violate the mask rule and the distance rule. Those are the most important things. They have to be distanced and they have to have a mask, and we can still stay where we are. If not, and the virus starts to spread, we have to roll back. So I just want to be clear about that. I just want you all to know where I stand. And if I have to roll back, it's all about protecting the health of you all, your children, and your mother, fathers, and your grandmother and grandfather. And that all of those things weigh heavy on me every night. And I'm not going to tell you a lie. I'm not going to sleep well until we get this virus reasonably under control. So having said that, I hope Ronnie is on the phone, or maybe Major, or to talk some more about the specifics, because or Evelyn, because we've been in a lot of talk so that we can be sure that we move forward without totally disrupting our current system. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
I'm here, Doctor, if you have any specific ask.
Right, I think what it would be great, Ronnie, if you could roll over, some of the specifics that I think that's what they were asking, some of the specifics for what we're asking people to do at bars and restaurants.
Okay. A couple things I know, and Daryl and Evelyn are both on, who are also part of our compliance team. One of the things that we have started, and I know we have folks out there today going to the bars and restaurants, specifically in the College Park corridor, to speak to all the bar owners, restaurant owners, to let them know what compliance would look like in COVID. And the groups that are going out today are not interested in seeking violations or doing inspections. They're going out today to educate the restaurants and bars on, again, how to protect themselves, their patrons, as well as their employees as we go through COVID. So I know that's the first thing we wanted to do to help the College Park, University of Maryland corridor. And again, I know that's begun today. So if it's any specific questions, feel free.
So this is Evelyn Hoban with the Health Department, with the Division of Environmental Health. I don't know if anyone has explained the new ambassador program that the county has instituted. I know Mr. Gill talked a little bit about how we're going to be out in College Park today educating. Our ambassador program is based on a number of tiers. So tier 1 is the team that goes out, talks to businesses, and educates them about what's in the executive order, as well as the new health department order, health officer's order, in terms of what Dr. Carter was talking about, the people wearing a face mask, and that's patrons as well as employees. It's also social distancing, making sure that any indoor is at 50% capacity, and any outdoor doesn't exceed any capacity guidelines. It's also making sure you have policies for your employees, making sure that your employees and your patrons have access to, hand washing stations and hand sanitizers. There is I don't know if you've received the latest copy of the health officer's order. I'm certainly happy to send that out to people. And I'm sure you have copies of the county executive's orders. So back to the ambassador program. So tier 1 is, where we are out today, as Mr. Gill was saying, educating folks about what it means to be in compliance and what facilities need. Tier 2 is the inspection or the enforcement piece, where we're actually out there saying, okay, we're looking for all these items. Do you have them? Yes or no? If you don't have them, here's the inspection sheet we're leaving with you. You must correct these actions immediately. We will be back typically within 2 to 3 days to re-inspect. If those issues are still a problem and you're not in compliance, you are subject to a $1,000 fine. And then another inspection after that, which is a tier 4 inspection, means that if you are still out of compliance and you are a non-compliant business, that you could potentially be shut down. And again, as Dr. Carter was saying, we all need to be working together so that this, COVID is not spread. We're not making people sick. We want businesses to stay open, but, businesses and patrons need to take responsibility, make sure wearing masks, make sure they're maintaining that social distancing, which are the key points to lowering the spread of this virus. I'm happy to take any questions. And if people need things sent, I can send it to the meeting coordinator, and you can email out to all of the businesses.
This is Sue Ellen Ferguson. I'm the attorney for the city. I would very much appreciate receiving the most recent order from the health officer.
Sure.
And we have a question about lines. We do tend during certain times in the evening at night to have lines that start outside of some of the establishments. Is there any direction about that that's being provided by the health office?
So outside of facilities, again, the social distancing needs to be maintained. People need to stay 6 feet away from each other. So if there's some way, I know some facilities have put tape or markers out, even outside on sidewalks, if people stand, and then there needs to be someone there who monitors that people just aren't crowding each other.
If everyone has a mask on, can they be closer than the 6 feet?
They should still maintain social distancing.
And so, hi, it's Bob Ryan with College Park. Working with the Downtown College Park Management Authority, they are printing up some sidewalk stickers that working with our Public Works folks will be putting on the sidewalks every 6 feet near the restaurants. Could you also send us your checklist that you're handing out today, and we have an email list of all the liquor license holders in the city that we can share that with. I don't think everyone is on this meeting today. I think the major restaurants are on this today, but there may be a few that aren't. So we would resend that.
Okay, we can send that out.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob, this is John Brown. Those decals will be available at the end of next week.
Thank you, John. So is there more information, Director Gill, Dr. Carter, Ms. Hoban, is there any more public health information that you'd like to share this morning? And thank you for coming to College Park with your awareness program.
Yeah, this is Dr. Carter. Just to say one thing, we firmly believe, and at least I really firmly believe, we can stop the spread and we can keep our bars and restaurants open. But it really is going to depend on how well you all do, because all I can do is to write these orders or to clamp down when I see something, if it's going out of control. But I think the reason there's an ambassador program and the reason we're working this way is because we firmly believe if we form a partnership with you all and you all have the same energy and passion around making sure this virus doesn't spread, by making sure people are distant, physically distanced, and make sure that they're wearing their mask, we can stop the spread and keep you open. And that's our real goal. Okay, that's the overarching goal here, is to stop the spread. Of course, that's my number one thing, but to keep you open also. And people have to start to learn this new normal, how to be in a restaurant or at a bar and still not cause the spread of the virus, cause the virus to spread. And I know that's difficult. I know, because we've never done this before. This is very new for every living soul. And so my job is to be sure that we form these partnerships. Our ambassadors are to form partnerships and not to be punitive. If it was up to me, I don't want to give out any fines. I don't want to shut anybody down. That is not our goal. Our goal is to be sure that everybody understands that we're in this together. So I just want to be sure we said that. That's not, and I mean, of course, there's going to be people who are not going to be in compliance, and we're going to have to do some things. But I'm hoping that we don't. I'm hoping that here in the College Park area and all across Prince George's County, we can form this partnership, because I need you. I can't stop the virus, or the health department can't stop the virus by itself. The county can't do it, you know, the executives and everybody, police. No, we can't do it by ourselves. It's going to have to be us all together. So that's all I really want to say. I want you all to understand that, and because it's just important to me. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Thank you for making that point, Dr. Carter. We hold these meetings every year, and obviously this year is quite different. But we always share that we're looking to give people information that they can use to make their business successful. We want all the businesses in College Park to be successful and you know, keep the city vibrant. And as I say, this year we have this huge challenge. So thank you for making that point.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else from public health at this time, is there anyone here from the Board of License
Excuse me, Bob. I've got a
Commission?
quick question, if I may. This is John Brown again. When we're talking about the line, I mean, that's going to really be an interesting factor, because obviously over the summer no one's had a line, but that will happen in the fall. Are we saying that each individual has to be 6 feet from the next individual, or if two people are arriving together, can two people stand together in a spot and the next group is 6 feet away?
You want to take that, Evelyn, or do you want me to?
Well, Dr. Carter, if you want to take it, you can take it. But otherwise, I'd say each person needs to be 6 feet away from each other.
Yeah, each person does need to be 6 feet away. The only exception to that, and it's going to be hard to police this, is when you have a family. If you have people who've been living together and they're all, you know, everybody's negative, you got a family, that's a different story. But we're asking that all people be 6 feet apart. It's hard to police the family, because the family is a different story. And I know that if people come with a family, it would be really easy. But if you have small kids, that's more difficult.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Carter. Do we have someone here from the Board of License Commissioners this morning?
Hello.
We have somebody. I'm not sure who that is.
I'm in the middle of a video meeting.
Is there anyone from Board of License Commissioners with us yet? Okay. Is Corporal Sakali with us yet? No. Okay.
Bob, this is Mark from the Cornerstone. I do have one question. The health board and the liquor board came in. They talked about when patrons are sitting down and actually eating and drinking, they're allowed to have their mask off. When they're sitting at a table, talking, kind of socializing, possibly eating and drinking every 10 seconds, 20 seconds. I'm hearing they have to have their mask on, which is really almost impossible. Can someone clarify that for me, please?
Ms. Hoban, can you clarify that?
Yeah, they are supposed to have their mask on unless they're actively eating or drinking. That's in the health officer's order. And again, I think that's being sent out.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to try to police that as best we can. That's, I don't want to say almost impossible, but you're going to have a security person every 5 feet policing, everybody. And it's going to be very tough. That's the only thing I see, because we're doing everything above and beyond for the rules. And that's one of the problems that we're seeing. People just kind of leaving their masks off when they're done eating and drinking. And we go up and tell them, hey, get your mask on. And a little backlash there, but and he starts to eat or drink, and well, there's gray lines, gray areas.
Right. I know it's difficult, and staff and patrons need to be really vigilant with this. And I don't know if this helps, but we do have face mask signs that we can provide to all the businesses that you can post, outside of the entrance as well as throughout your facilities. We can certainly hand those out to everybody.
We have those every 5-6 feet. We have hundreds of flyers all over the place, in and outside. I mean, like I say, we're doing our best, but it's a very gray area. People are eating and drinking and socializing at the same time.
Could the ambassador teams going out today have some of those signs to hand out?
Yes.
Yes, they will have that, and that's part of our process. We make sure that we have it in English as well as Spanish. Daryl Sims with the County Executive Office.
Great, thank you.
My main concern is, whether it's the liquor board or health board or whoever policing this, and they come in and see, 1 or 2 people with the mask off when they're sitting down with the group, and maybe they've just been eating or drinking or something, and all of a sudden, they say, hey, you're in violation. That guy doesn't have his mask on. Like I say, it's a very gray area where we are 100% going to do our best to police this, but there's got to be a like I say, it's a whole gray area.
Mark, one of the things, Mark, that Dr. Carter said earlier, we're not trying to play gotcha. The county is not trying to do that. We're trying to work with all of our partners. And when these inspectors go in, they're not walking in and looking at somebody for 10 seconds, 30 seconds and saying a mask is down. They will stay there to observe and just the whole atmosphere. We're looking for employees or folks just to remind people. And if we see you doing your due diligence, then we have no intent or no desire to fine. It's just to, as we said, educate. But it's the violators we're interested in, not the folks who are working with us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I want to reiterate that. That's really important what Ronnie said. We're not looking to come in and say to close you down or fine you. I mean, we're trying to get to the new normal. It's going to be a transition period, and how we get people to get to that state is going to be us working with you. You all are going to come back and say, you know, this is difficult to police, but we found that if I'm just making something up, if the waitress reminds them every X amount of, every hour, I don't know, whatever, you all are going to work with us on this, and you're going to come, I'm going to get feedback from you saying that, hey, Dr. Carter, it would be better if we did it this way, and then I can consider it. You understand what I mean? We have to work together on this. We realize it's going to be a transition period. So we're going to work with you. So we're not trying to I want to be very clear. We're not trying to find you or find fault with you. We're really looking for the gross violators who I know, are not really going by the rules. And the people who are working with us, we're going to work with you.
Dr. Carter, will your office be working together with the Board of License Commissioners on this? Or will you be cooperating? Do you know what that looks like yet?
I don't, because I haven't been doing that. I know we've had conversations, but I'm pretty sure that we will get to that point. And that's sort of at the level of, and I'll let Ronnie speak to this, at the level of the CAO. And so I'm part of the conversation, but I'm not leading it. So Ronnie, do you have a response to that?
I'm sorry, Doctor, and I'm quite sure Evelyn and Daryl may have heard, but I was trying to multitask with a separate call.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'll just say that right at this point, I have to get back to you on how we work together. But and maybe Daryl can say a little bit more about this. But up to this point, we're just starting those initial talks.
Yes, this is Daryl Sims. I'm with the team with Ronnie, Dr. Carter, and Evelyn. And we are engaging in conversations with the Board of License and Commissioners. And matter of fact, they're working in partnership with us to do this educational component that we've been talking about, as well as to give advisement, as they're in the facility to help anyone that, just needs some direction. So we are in conversation and working in partnership here.
Yes, and I'm sorry, they were invited to this meeting. Something must have happened to prevent them from getting on. We do have one publication from Board of License Commissioners, if the host could post that. And it is a suspension of the entertainment permits, which kind of makes our discussion today of entertainment very simple. So I don't see it yet. That was sent out with the invitation, and the gist of it is that the entertainment permits throughout the county have been suspended during the emergency. So no one should be planning live music, and so there it is. There it is. And so right. So as highlighted, entertainment permits are not allowed to be utilized at this time, until further notice. So all of the restaurant owners on the meeting, just be aware you won't be able to have live entertainment or DJs and so forth for the foreseeable future. Are there any other questions for public health? And later on, I know we have a sample. Why don't we bring that up now, since we're a little bit ahead of schedule. We have a sample, what is it called? No. Safety dining guidelines at the bottom of that list. Thank you. So this is a sample, and so this is a sample from actually one restaurant owner is looking at implementing this, and so this may be a guide if it meets health department approval. You know, and this can be, we can edit this and distribute it to everyone. But essentially the things we were talking about, masks, sit-down dining only, the food order. Now that's, again, one restaurant's model. I don't know, and this is a question for the health department. Can a patron order a drink only in a restaurant, or must they? I mean, this is a sample of good practice, but
So that's actually not a health issue. That's the Board of Liquor Commission issue. But I know that the facility has to have food in order to have the liquor license. But I don't know that a person has to order food in order to have a drink.
right, okay. And again, 6 at a table, 6-foot distancing. Keeping the chairs, you know, at the tables. I actually saw this in practice in Ocean City a couple of days ago, where some folks were moving chairs from one table to the next, and the wait staff came over and told them they couldn't do that. So
I'm sorry, Bob. Bob, sorry. This is Yasmin from Terrapin's Turf. I do have a question, in which I guess pertains to our entertainment licenses. Most of us here anyway operate as restaurants as well. But being that this meeting usually is in regard to our entertainment license, what is going to happen with that, you know, the annual deadline of September 15th? Are we still supposed to be completing our renewals with Officer Sakali? Because I know, I'm not sure if she's on the call, but just wanted to know what our process as entertainment license holders is, you know, before September 15th. Do we need to do that on time? Is that something we should still be sending in, or where do we stand?
I don't have an answer, and Corporal Sakali wasn't able to get on this meeting apparently, and we'll send that question to her and send the answers out to all.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thanks. And so just to follow on with this model practice, you know, disinfecting table and chairs after each user, and staff protecting themselves, wearing their masks and washing their hands and everything between customers. So this is just a sample. As I say, we put out and shared. We'll share it with health officers and see if there's anything that needs to be included. I mean, maybe this is something your ambassadors, something like this, your ambassadors could use as a handout.
Yeah.
Bob, this is John Brown from Bentley's. If I could just step in for a second. Honestly, these are the guidelines we're following, and these guidelines came from a number of different places. The county execs order at one point mentioned the food should be ordered whenever you're sitting at a table, which we concur with, so that's why it's on these guidelines. But I think it's really important that the restaurants and bars in downtown College Park, or in all of College Park, follow equal format for the same format. Because as it was mentioned by a young man the other day when we had another meeting, that if one bar is not doing it and another one is, you're going to go to the weaker section. I mean, I think we all have to agree that the importance of this. These are not hard things to do. These are very important things to do. And I want to thank Dr. Carter. You've given us more clarity, you and your staff today, than we've had in a while. And we are partners, and we will move forward. But I think the restaurants and bars in College Park, Jasmine, Mark, you know, we've all been together for a lot of years. And we're going to continue to be together. And we're going to do the right thing. It's really not heavy lifting. We just need to do it collectively.
I agree.
One thing that you may want to add to this safety dining guideline is about washing your hands frequently, especially prior to eating or before removing your mask to eat. And that would be for
Very good.
Also frequently washing their hands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are there any other questions questions or information available in regards to public health, Board of License Commissioners, and again, we'll get an answer to the question on the entertainment permit applications, whether they should be on schedule or whether that's suspended also. If there are no further questions, I think the next item on our agenda was public safety. And so we have representatives of Prince George's County Police, University of Maryland Police, and State Highway Administration. So if anyone would like to lead that off, I see Major Holland is on board. Can you report on Prince George's County Police plans during the pandemic, and then we'll jump to Chief Mitchell and Deputy Chief Lloyd.
Hey, excuse me, Bob. This is Jake from Looney's Pub. The only question I have about the last flyer you had up was the food placed like per table, like every single table, every bar patron has to order food. Is that something that we have to enforce right now, or is this new policy starting today?
Again, those were recommended guidelines. Ask the health department to comment on your question.
So this is Evelyn. I don't know of a requirement that you have to order food. I don't know if Dr. Carter or Dale or Ronnie know where that requirement came from.
Again,
Yeah,
those were just recommended good practice. Some of which were based on executive orders and some just on good business practice, I presume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree. All bars should be on the same page and doing the same thing. So I just want to make sure if you guys are doing that, then we'll enforce it too. But I think every single other thing on that guideline, we've all been doing this entire time.
I think the idea is you aren't having to order an entree. You can order fries or something, just something to have you doing more than just drinking.
I think maybe that confusion is also because when we originally opened in phase one, a lot of us local bars and restaurants were able to do delivery. Delivery and to go. And if people were getting alcohol to go, the rule at that time was you have to get it with a food item. So I think that more so pertains to the takeout and delivery, if I'm not mistaken, given the Board of Commissioners orders.
I have a follow-up question also. This is Sue Ellen Ferguson, the attorney for the city. There was a council meeting Tuesday night, and there was a move to put on the city's website a very clear do's and don'ts listing, which city staff is working to put together. The students want clear direction. I understand. I'm hearing today that the bar owners and restaurant owners really like that too, to make it very clear. We are putting together a summary listing of do's and don'ts. Is it possible to the health department for a quick vetting to make sure that we're saying it exactly right?
I'd prefer if you send that list to the compliance team leads, which are Daryl Sims, Evelyn, and myself, and we'll vet it and get it right back to you.
So we should just send it right to you, Ronnie?
And I'll push it out to the other two leads.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I do have one question, and someone spoke about consistency. There is not a requirement, but I've seen other jurisdictions do this, and it helped to control many of their lines where patrons were required to make reservations. Have any of the restaurants had any consideration for that?
As a management group, we're always talking about it. We're checking on different things, but right now, if people want to make a reservations, we give us their phone number, and we text them 10 minutes before we're allowed to come in.
We take reservations at Terrapin's Turf via telephone, but I know that my sister, my partner, and I, we've been actually trying to work online and being able to get something more online savvy for patrons to be able to, something like open table or reserve, to be able to, you know, have indoor seating and outdoor seating based on our capacities. But we have been implementing taking reservations over the phone since we've gone into phase 2.
Is that an option instead of people waiting in line? Once you're at capacity, could the next person in line leave their phone number and then walk away somewhere? And
So we've just done it primarily for, you know, maybe Fridays or brunch happy hours. Just that helps us, you know, have tables available, and that way we know what to expect in order to practice the social distancing, having the tables apart. But we are looking into having like an open table. That way, if you have an app like that, you'll know how many of your tables are reserved, and people aren't going to be coming and just standing outside waiting essentially for a table during our busier times. So we are looking into that.
I think for sure once school begins that the 6-foot distance or them waiting in those lines, that could potentially, I mean, if we're talking 6 feet, it's not going to take that hard to wrap around our streets like that. What I think would be important would be to, at some point, all of us do some form of reservations, because we would, I think, have to in general, just to keep our business like moving efficiently. Otherwise, that situation would call, and I think the customers themselves at this point, they do call and they say, do you have seats available? How long is the wait? So we're getting calls that, you know, we weren't ever getting before. So I think the customer's also aware of that. But I think implementing reservations at some point would be like beneficial for us as business owners to even make more money that way. Otherwise we would lose customers as well, you know, and it would just be hectic outside on the streets.
yeah, I mean,
I think we have to test the waters on this. I mean, I don't think we can determine exactly how it's going to work yet. When school starts and we're full and you have people there, I mean, you've got a point where you can possibly cut the line off and say we can't have any more than this number of people in line. And then it's going to be tough. The people are going to be on the sidewalks milling around. We're just going to have to work together, as Dr. Carter says, and try to answer some of these things as we get in the events themselves. So I'm open to all suggestions. I think we don't say any of them won't work, but I'm not sure any of them will work until we know more about what we're doing and how it's treated. It's not going to be like it was before. And I agree with the 6-foot distancing. We've got to do that.
And we've had other conversations. There are multiple groups working on some of these issues. So we've had conversations recently about the fact that our sidewalks in downtown are not wide enough for people to pass at 6-foot distancing. So people are going to have to wear masks just walking around downtown College Park, because they're going to be passing other people virtually shoulder to shoulder on some of our sidewalks. And so that's going to be a challenge for us to get compliance with wearing masks. And we're working on trying to find some solutions. And so again, it's going to be a kind of an all hands project.
These fraternities and sororities and just friends that live with each other, you know, 5, 6 people, 10, 15, 20 people at a time. I mean, they'll say, you know, they come up to us and say, hey, you know, we live together, and how can we social distance those people where, you know, it's like a big family.
Yeah, the university, and again, there's a whole group working on and off campus public education around this. And I know some things are being tried to be implemented, you know, such as in fraternity sororities, resident halls that have 2 stairs, having one be up, one be down, so that people aren't passing shoulder to shoulder. Those, a variety of things that are going to be tried out.
Yeah, the university is going to use former and current athletes to encourage people to try to be wise. I mean, these kids are going to come back and and it's going to be, they're going to want to be free. They're going to want to do a lot of different things, and they're going to be like trying to tame caribou. And so it's going to be difficult, but we can do it. Like Dr. Carter said, we can do it. We're just going to have to unite as we try to do it and get as much education out there. What I'm really hoping, Bob, is that these guidelines, as we have talked about them, can be disseminated before the students come back as widely as possible in fraternities, sororities, dorms, elsewhere, that these are the dining guidelines for College Park. So when they come in, we're telling them, but we aren't hearing it for the first time. They're hearing it because they've heard it before, and then they'll kind of adhere to it quicker. So as much as we can move that forward, I would like to see that.
This is Sue Ellen Ferguson again. We want to be sure that we understand fully the distancing and masking requirements, because at least I expect that the lines for the bars, which are kind of a return to school rite of passage in the downtown, will be an issue just about immediately. So for clarification, what I understand is that fraternities and sororities or other groups of people who are living together are not a family, and that folks have to, everyone's got to stand 6 feet from everybody else and have the mask on at the same time. Is that the correct interpretation of your position right now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing further on that, let's move on to public safety in general, inside, outside, crossing streets, et cetera, et cetera. Major Holland, would you kick us off?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. We're going to continue to follow what we have in years past with the pedestrian safety programs, the extra patrols downtown. And a lot of our approach when it comes to the public safety stuff with, or as far as the public health concern, is we're still maintaining the approach to educate and encourage people to comply. And we're using any enforcement as the absolute last resort. And like we have in the past, we're going to continue to work with the university police to, make sure we get that message out there, and we'll be out. With the concern that the capacity of the bars and the restaurants is reduced, we're figuring there's going to be a lot more parties popping up in the neighborhood. So we're planning on increasing patrols back there to try to, again, encourage everybody to follow the rules and stay safe. And that's about where we stand.
And as some of you know, City has a contract police program where we hire additional off-duty county police officers to supplement the patrol officers. And so they'll all be working in coordination with Major Holland's beat patrol cars, and city code enforcement officers will be working in coordination with these programs we've been talking about also. Do you have anything else from county side?
No, that's about it.
Okay.
I'm going to try to get together with Corporal Sicali, just like I guess your offices as well, to check on that entertainment permit things.
Right.
Make sure we're on the same page there.
Okay, thank you. University of Maryland Police Chief, are you on? And whoever else that you want to speak?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, or I guess it's still good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you to, once again, the tavern owners for being here. This has been a great partnership over the years, one that we deeply appreciate. Ken Ullman has been acting on behalf of the university, working with the City of College Park to develop our plans for this coming fall. Needless to say, on campus, it's been a tornado of activity, so to speak. And we just got the Big Ten schedule. So there'll be no fans, but yet we're going to be playing games. So I know Laura Dyer's on the call here with us and the rest of our crew. It's a lot of planning for us. So what does that mean? We may say no fans, but obviously there's going to be a desire to have some kind of tailgates or something like that. This was just announced, so we have to factor that in our planning for this coming fall. We plan to be in concert with the Prince George's County Police, the city and their contract cars and so forth. And I've been talking with Ken Allman, who, by the way, couldn't be on the call this morning because he's at a cabinet meeting that was called for 10 o'clock this morning, kind of a sudden cabinet meeting announcement. So, so I convey his appreciation for everyone coming together. But we've been talking about, you know, how do we best go about this? I think Major Holland said it best, you know, and everyone has said that basically. We're not here to enforce. We're not here to hand out big fines. We're not here to shut people down and so forth. We are here to encourage compliance. Compliance with what? Well, compliance with health, liquor board, and other common sense safety kinds of issues. It's going to be very difficult. John Brown said it best, and Mark said it, you know, and Yasmin said it. They're going to be coming back, and they're going to want to be free. We get it. I left campus last night, and I see, you know, basketball courts around the frats, and everybody's playing. Not a mask in sight, people sweating and everything. You know, it's the world that we're dealing with. And Dr. Carter, God bless you for the warning. And it is a warning. We're on the verge of another outbreak. I get it. We get it. So we're going to do the best we can. We will be doing knock and talks again this year. We hope to have city, county, and certainly university troops going out, talking with houses that we know are frequent. We have been meeting with the IFC. We've been meeting with the sororities, talking about this. They're heavily invested. I have to say, the IFC is totally on board in a fraternity council with guidance and so forth, whatnot. You could hear a pin drop when we said, oh, by the way, there's heavy penalties here. You can potentially get arrested, you know, so you could hear a pin drop. People are taking this seriously. We're all too familiar with what it's like to lose a student and lose others. We'll be continuing our safety patrols, pedestrian enforcement. Now, I can't, like Major Holland, I can't pull rabbits out of hats. I'm down 20-some people, officers. So we are stretched to the limit. But we'll carry out our responsibilities to the best that we can. I want to thank the business community, College Park business community, for continuing the patrols with Prince George's County as they have in the past. So, you know, we're keeping our fingers crossed that it's all going to go well. Some of the things we've talked about are, and what we're planning on campus is public health ambassadors. We're trying to stay away from the enforcement mantra. Public health ambassadors. We have, since we are limited in the number of students that will be coming back to campus, we have a lot of RAs who traditionally would be in all the housing and enforcing code and doing all that. Well, we have a number of them that won't have positions, or we won't have a need for them to be there doing that because students won't be there, and we're limiting one per dorm room and so forth. So that cohort of employees, part-time employees, if you will, can be used for other things. One of the big concerns we have is the academic buildings. When you come in, public health ambassadors would be stationed toward entrances to remind students coming in and others gotta wear a mask, and they'll have masks to hand out. Now they won't be taking an enforcement role or anything like that. They will be using common sense and polite suggestion. Hey, you got to wear a mask. Now, we're alerting students. And Andrea Goodwin, I don't think Andrea's on the call, but she heads up our Office of Student Conduct. Of course, the faculty wants to know, well, what are we going to do, or what are you going to do when you have a student come in and has a mask on and then decides, I want to make a point. I'm taking off my mask, I'm standing up, and I'm not wearing a mask in this class. That's the way it is, and you can't make me. Boom. What's faculty to do? Well, eventually, you know, if you play out that scenario, the police are going to get called. Well, one thing's for sure. The Office of Student Conduct is going to suspend that student immediately and move on expulsion from the university. That's the biggest hammer that they can drop, and they will not hesitate to do it. And they will use the first person who does this as an example of what's going to happen to you if you follow suit. I applaud that. But let's warn everybody first, and we're doing that. Don't go down this road. If you do, plan on telling mom and dad that you got suspended and expelled, and that'll be on your academic record for the rest of your career. So that you have been warned. I think that's going to go a long way. Hopefully, we're not going to have some of the problems that we anticipate could happen. If the police get involved, we're going to follow MSP's guidance. We will work with the Office of the State's Attorney on what exactly they want in terms of a criminal prosecution if it comes to that. What the state police guidance says is basically 3 warnings. We have body cams, we'll be recording that and so forth. We have to take somebody into custody, we will. If we can cite and release and escort them off campus, even better. If it's a flat out refusal, I'm not leaving, I'm here and I'm breathing on people, and so what? They're gonna go against their will, handcuffed, and they'll be charged accordingly. Hopefully it never comes down to that. What I'm saying is that you multiply this out, and in a meeting with my colleagues from the Big Ten, similarly situated when we talk about, you know, Iowa and Purdue and all the others, we're all facing this. And we're all facing the, as chiefs, when we talked the other day, well, what about off campus? Because we all have the same issues. You know, it's not just confined to campus jurisdiction. There are communities right around, and how are we dealing with that? So I applaud this effort of us coming together. Our plans are coming together. The biggest thing we have is the willingness to get the job done in cooperation. Of course, the partnership that we've established over years, that partnership's going to pay big dividends. And we're keeping our fingers crossed, hoping that, you know, the best happens. I applaud Prince George's County, by the way, for the ambassador program. And Dr. Carter and the Liquor Board, that concept coming out, here's what you should do, here's what we're asking you to do, and here's what's going to happen if you refuse to. Let's do that first. Again, with the idea, we don't want to shut anybody down, we don't want to fine anybody, we don't want to arrest anybody, but we are here to ensure compliance. I think if we go with that attitude and we go out with our knock and talks in the very beginning, we're going to have some hiccups, we're going to have some bumps in the road, but as we traditionally have, we'll get through them. That's it from UMPD. Again, Ken Ullman sends his best.
Thank you, Chief. Is there anything else from University Police? If not, is there anyone from State Highway who wants to talk about our pedestrian safety efforts? Again, even amidst all of this public health concern, we don't want to lose anyone walking across Baltimore Avenue as we did in the past that prompted some major efforts in pedestrian safety. We do have some handout material, and Chief, I'm going to invite Lieutenant Kenner to get on. She has been pretty much the coordinator with State Highway on the pedestrian safety project. So, Lieutenant Kenner, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, I'm Lieutenant Kenner with the University of Maryland Police. I've been working in conjunction with State Highway Lisa Beck and her partners to ensure that we have everything set for our pedestrian safety campaign. And I think we have representatives on this call that's going to do a short presentation regarding that new pedestrian. It's not Walk Smart College Park anymore. It's Beach Street wise. So do we have someone from their representation here online?
If not, I think it's all yours, Lieutenant.
Is there someone, I think there's a representative from State Highway here.
Yes. Hi, Lieutenant Kenner. This is Kate Underwood from State Highway. How are you today?
I'm great. So would you just like to go over the new campaign, please, and how the guards would get their information in their placards?
Sure. So, and I believe our Safety and Marketing Education Manager, Tina Register, she may be on the call as well. And definitely, Tina, if you are, feel free to jump in when you get a chance. But as Lieutenant Kenner mentioned, yes, State Highway this year did some rebranding for our driver, pedestrian, and bicycle safety. So the College Park or the UMD pedestrian safety campaign will be under the new Be Streetwise theme that we have here. And what you guys can see on your screen is a mock-up of the new creative. So again, just trying to consolidate the 3 different brands for our safety messaging, but most of the messaging will still be very familiar and very similar to the Walk Smart College Park. And I'm sorry, it looks like, I don't know if someone is working as the host for it, but it looks like Tina is muted. She's one of the phone numbers. Unfortunately, you can't see her name. So if someone is working as host and can unmute, let's see here. Her number would be the 443-651-0961, please. But yeah, until Tina gets unmuted, I'll just keep going there. And so for Beach Street Wise, our new pedestrian safety campaigns usually launch right around back to school time. So we are still tentatively working on a date, but to have this ready to roll by late August, early September. Yeah. As many people, because of COVID, we've definitely experienced a lot of changes in the way that we market our campaigns. So right now there has been a big emphasis on what we can do digitally. So what we're in the process of putting together is a digital and social toolkit that we'd be happy to provide both the university and any bar and restaurant owners that have monitors in their establishments and would like to run that safety messaging as well. So similar to how in the past we did a lot of like tangible collateral, like window clings and posters and things like that. This time we're definitely looking to see more what we can do digitally, and we're happy to format those in different sizes as needed. We will still have marketing outdoors at transit shelters. So that's one way that this new campaign will still be very visible to anyone walking and driving around the university's campus. Let's see here. We are still working through some things with our plans and budgets right now, but hopefully, in the near future, we will be able to resume doing some of those more tangible items as well. But again, just a big focus on what can we do in the age of COVID that, is going to get the message out, but still keep everyone safe. So for the time being, we do not have any plans to employ our safety ambassador or to deploy our safety ambassadors on campus in the way that we used to do in the past. But again, just looking for ways that we can still get that message out without the in-person contact. So that is the bulk of what I have right now, but definitely if you guys have any questions or anything else to add, as Lieutenant Kenner is our best contact, as she said, she works directly with my colleague, Lisa Beck, and then Tina and I also work on the campaign as well, and we'd be happy to coordinate with you. Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you, Kay. Hello, this is Tina. Hi. Thank you, Kay. And hello, everyone. I just wanted to add one additional item. We are working on writing some public service announcements so we can at least being able to distribute those to the radio stations in the area. We were pretty successful over the summer and late spring with doing that with with our other campaigns, being able to, during the COVID, to be able to rely on public service announcements. So even though, as Kay mentioned, we're dealing with restrictions in terms of safety restrictions of being out and about physically on campus, as well as some financial restraints with their spending, that we are hoping that we will be able to get some of these PSAs aired. And then hopefully by the beginning of next year, if things change with the situation with COVID and with funding, that we may be able to do more of that the second part of the year.
Hi, this is Bob. Just one suggestion in a quick look at the new materials. If you're still developing materials, is there some way you could incorporate scooter safety? The electric scooters seem to propagate themselves. I don't know, they're everywhere. And I've seen some scooter riders who don't understand, apparently can't read stop at the intersections. And I think that's obviously a hazard for our pedestrians and everyone else if the scooter riders are not being considerate of others. So if you're doing new graphics, if you're doing any additional graphics, maybe some scooter people.
That is a good suggestion.
Also, my other suggestion would be to say something like wear your masks.
That's a great suggestion,
Yeah. So in addition to like the graphic that you guys can see now, like that's the general kind of like overall theme for the campaign, which was developed pre-COVID. But yes, I totally agree with the messages about like wear your mask and social distance. What we've been doing overall for our statewide campaign is including that very specific language in the captions that we do on social media. So even though the graphics are still pretty clean and simple, we do get very specific in our captions and messages to go, and even some of you guys may have seen like overhead signs on some of the highways where we're saying, if you have to be out, like it's best to stay home to stay safe. But if you have to be out, don't just look up, look out, but also make sure you're wearing your mask and keeping your distance. So definitely where we have the opportunity to add more text, because we like to keep the graphics with as least text as possible, because it gets kind of lost and people don't read all of it. But where we have opportunities for captions and other ways that we can incorporate that, even as Tina mentioned in the PSAs, like we do include that COVID specific language as well.
Thank you.
And I have just an insert. So Tina, how quickly can you get this information out to the bar owners and restaurants so they can start pushing this message out and get us the flyers and placards so we can include it in our knock and talk campaign?
Sorry, it looks like Tina maybe muted again, but Lieutenant Kenner, this is Kay. I'll double check on that timeline for materials and get back to you after this call.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Lieutenant Kenner, State Highway? Questions about the B Streetwise program? And again, the pandemic is going to take most of our attention this year, but we still need to keep in mind other hazards that face our population. If there's nothing else, let me jump into the agenda. We have an item that we usually discuss in regards to fire safety in our restaurants and other venues. If you look, and I've lost visual somehow, waiting for the screen to come back up. Okay, I'm assuming I still have audio. Again, I was starting to talk about the item on fire safety, and it's simple stuff, but our code officers will still be looking for compliance. Exits that aren't blocked. If you have exit signs, they need to be maintained and lit. And then there's a link on our agenda for crowd management. The larger venues are required to have a trade crowd manager on duty at all times. And there's online training. It's about a 15 to 30-minute training item. And again, it's very simple. So any of your security staff or wait staff or hosts could go online and have this, and then you'd have somebody on duty. And again, it's just someone who has some basic knowledge on how to evacuate your building and when to evacuate your building, and some simple awareness things about maintaining exits and so forth. So I'm not going to take any more time. If you have any questions about that, you can email me, or, again, the link is to the Maryland State Fire Marshal's webpage where the crowd manager training is available. And our code enforcement officers, will be out with these other teams, but they'll also be raising awareness for some of these other code compliance issues. So that's all I have to say about that, frankly. Excuse me. John, would you like to talk a little bit about the Downtown College Park Management Authority? DCPMA co-sponsors the Friday and Saturday night footbeat that we use our contract officers in downtown to assist with pedestrian safety awareness. This year they'll be assisting with mask and distancing awareness also. And DCPMA has contributed to that since we began that. So the
management authority will continue to contribute, Bob.
Right. Is there anything else DCPMA information, John, that everybody,
outside of providing these distancing decals, which are, I think they'll be functional, and they'll look better than duct tape and X's, but they'll have, it's a pretty handy looking item, and I think everybody will be glad to have them. All the merchants will have them available, as well as the city, and the university wants to use them, they certainly can. Other than that, we just want to coordinate all the signage we can put up, certainly the mask signs and anything else we can do to encourage safety. We're all a part of that.
And all of the establishments in the downtown area are required to be members of the management authority. So, and John's kind of the guru of DCPMA. So if you have any questions,
that or the dinosaur.
Wow. Yeah. Welcome to the club. So are there any further questions? We're way ahead of our schedule, but I think we've covered a lot. If anyone has questions, please, please share them now, or if you'd rather, you can reach any of us by email or text or phone, whatever. Any last call? Anyone have anything to add?
I think if everybody, works together, and work out fine. It's going to be tough, but everyone works together. And
Bob, yeah, Mark, I think that if you'd like, Bob, if you would, I'll be glad to host, and we can certainly social distance in one of our dining rooms. The tavern owners that are in the downtown area, and if Rooney's has somebody they'd like to have come up, that would be fine to come down. Just so that we can make sure that we're all on the same page, that we're doing the things that we need to do collectively, not individually. And it wouldn't be a long meeting, but if we can assemble that and reach out to everybody and pick a date, it wouldn't be more than about 45 minutes, an hour meeting. We can have it in the morning, and everybody can get their own space, and we have a big room there that we can all sit in. I doubt we have more than 7 or 8 people, maybe 10. So I'll be glad to do that if we can do it. I think we've got a lot of really good direction today. We just have to make sure we pull it together.
No, I think the city would appreciate that, John. If you all, are pulling in the same direction, I think we have a much better chance of keeping people safe this year.
Jasmine, you and Mark, all right with that? Excuse me.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, yes, sorry,
Excuse me,
I took a moment. Sorry, I took a moment to unmute myself. Yes, we would just let us know when. We'd be more than happy. And thank you so much for getting those materials together for the DCPMA. I think that'll be really helpful for all of us, especially for the sidewalks.
Certainly. Those should be available at the end of next week, and then we'll get them across to you. But so maybe tomorrow, the next day, Bob, if we can look at your schedule and everybody's schedule, sometime possibly next week, just for a quick morning meeting or early afternoon, however it works. Morning would be best before we open at around noon.
Yeah, just let us know. Either myself will be there or one of us will be there.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, I'd be happy to join as well.
Great.
So, I mean, if there's anybody else that wants to be a part of that, Bob, I definitely think it would be good to have you there. And then if there's anyone else who would like to join, I'm certainly happy to have you.
Yeah, this is Adam from Potomac Pizza and College Park Grill. I'd love to join too.
Right. Good.
So, Bob, do you mind being the coordinator for this?
No, not at all. We'll send out an invitation. If you all would send me an email, your best available time, you want to do it next week, I would suggest Thursday morning again, if that's convenient to people.
That's fine with me. We can do this now if you like.
Yes, to get.
We can do it early Thursday morning, that's fine.
Works for me.
Adam, you're good.
Thursday the 13th.
Yasmin, you good?
Mark, what's early for you?
Noon probably for Mark.
1 or 2 in the afternoon? No.
Well, let's go. Let's go for 10,
9 or 10.
How about 10:30?
That's great.
10 will work. Does 10 work for everybody?
Yeah, 10:30 works for me.
Works for me.
All right. So we'll go 10:30, Mark. Can you make that work?
Oh, definitely.
All right, 10:30 next week at Bentley's, Thursday.
Great. Thanks, John.
Sure.
Okay. Last call. Any questions? Information to share? Thank you all for doing this. I'm not sure how we're all going to behave in the future when we don't have Zoom meetings where we actually have to show up someplace. We'll test that out next Thursday. So, thank you again.
We'll be all right. We've got hand sanitizers in every room. You're okay.
Right. And we won't wear shorts and sandals, I guess.
That's fine.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We've recorded this meeting, so if there's anyone you know who couldn't make it, who wants to see the discussion, particularly the opening discussions with Dr. Carter, please share that this is available. And,
how will that be available, Bob? Ken Allman would like to see it.
yes, sir. It should be linked on the city's webpage, and I'll share it. I'll share that link once it's up and running.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.